Good afternoon. We welcome you to the briefing on the state of readiness for the presidential inauguration of the 7th administration of the Republic of South Africa. As we all know, South Africa is a constitutional democracy, and therefore the inauguration of the president is guided by the provisions of the Constitution of the Republic. Section 87 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa prescribes that the President of the Republic must be sworn in within 5 days after his or her election by the National Assembly. In accordance with the provisions of the Section 86 of the Constitution, the National Assembly duly elected His Excellency Mr. Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa as the President-elect of the 7th Administration of the Republic of South Africa on Friday, the 14th June 2024. Consequently, the provisions of Section 87, as articulated earlier, kick in, and the President of South Africa must accordingly be inaugurated on Wednesday, the 19th June 2024. Who are in the inauguration preparatory team? President had on the 2nd of February 2024 appointed an interministerial committee, which we call the IMC, to prepare for the inauguration of the President. This interministerial committee is constituted by the following ministers: Minister in the Presidency, who is the chairperson, Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies, Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Minister of Finance, Minister of Health, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Minister of Police, Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Minister of Home Affairs, Minister of Transport, and Minister of Public Enterprises, for enhanced and proper coordination with other institutions that play a critical role in the process of election and inauguration of the President. The chairperson of the IMC extended the invitations to participate in the IMC to the Office of the Chief Justice, the Speaker of the National Assembly, and the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, the premiers of the provinces of Gauteng, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, Northwest, and the Free State, which are the host and the feeder provinces, and the cities of Tshwane, which is the capital, a city of Johannesburg, and Ekurhuleni as the capital and co-hosting cities. The IMC is supported by the Integrated Planning Committee, which we commonly call the IPC, constituted by the Directors General and the administrative heads of other participating institutions and city managers who work on the technical and operational details of the preparations. The IPC is chaired by the Director General of the Republic, who is supported by the Chief Operations Officer of the Presidency. What are the inauguration details? The inauguration of the President of the 7th Administration of South Africa will take place on this Wednesday, 19th June 2024 at the Union Buildings in Pretoria in the city of Tshwane. The President-elect will be sworn in by the Chief Justice of the Republic of South Africa, Justice Raymond Zondo, and he will take an oath of affirmation, which text is included in Schedule 2 of our Constitution. The ceremony will be staged in the Union Buildings Amphitheatre and its South Lawns. The amphitheatre will host national and foreign dignitaries, including heads of state and government. Preparations have been made for South Africans to participate in the inauguration ceremony from the Union Buildings South Lawns. The ceremony will commence with an entertainment program at 900 hours, or 9 a.m., and the formal proceedings are scheduled to commence at 1100 hours or 11 a.m. The South African National Defence Force will perform the ceremonial elements of the inauguration as they pledge their allegiance to both the Republic and the Commander-in-Chief. The ceremonial elements will include, amongst others, a 21-gun salute, a salute flight by the South African Air Force, the inspection of the South African National Defence Force battalions, a battalion march past, and a mast fly past, which will include the South African Airways. The newly sworn-in President of the Republic will deliver his inaugural address. The cultural program. A cultural program will be hosted on the South Lawns of the Union Buildings, and it will take place before the formal inauguration ceremony commences. The cultural program is a platform for local artists to showcase their talent and for us as a nation to share our cultural diversity with our guests. This production will feature a combination of music genres and other cultural and artistic performances that will have a crossover appeal that reflects our achievements in the past 30 years of our democracy. Members of the public attending the occasion are also advised that the following items are forbidden at the event, including at the South Lawns. That is alcohol and drugs, firearms or weapons or any weapons, bottles or cans. Road closures. There will be no private vehicles access to the union buildings or the area immediately surrounding the venue. Tshwane Metropolis will effect road closures in and around the union buildings precinct. Residents in the streets affected by these closures will be alerted on how they will access various exits and entrances. Information on these closures will be shared widely following this briefing and will be available on various government websites, including the Government Communication and Information System, GCIS, government website, which is gcis.gov.za. Logistics for the media. Members of the media will be transported from Rittondale Park and ride, and buses will leave at 400 hours or 4 a.m. Due to space limitations, only 100 members of the media will be accommodated at the Nelson Mandela Amphitheatre. A list of selected media is published on the website of the GCIS. A media center will be established at the South Lawns, which will provide sound and television feed to all media. Buses will shuttle media to both the union buildings and the South Lawns, respectively. No media vehicles will be allowed to drive to the union buildings precinct. The GCIS will open for media accreditation today and will communicate further in the arrangements at a technical media briefing to be held at a later date. The meaning of the inauguration. The presidential inauguration is an important feature in a year in which South Africa is marking 30 years of freedom under the theme 30 years of democracy, partnership and growth, which is also the theme of the inauguration. The inauguration will bring together South Africans from all backgrounds, all walks of life, and political orientation, united in our diversity. It offers us an occasion to celebrate our democratic values and system of governance, including the agreed commitment of our body politic that the seventh administration, will be the one led by a government of national unity. The theme brings perspective to our past and the road of progress that we have traveled since 1994, when Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela took his oath of office at the Union Buildings on the 10th of May, 1994, as our first democratically elected president. The theme for the inauguration of 2024 conveys the need for all South Africans and our partners to work together to sustain democracy, partnership and growth in our society. It emphasizes the need to build on our achievements since 1994, leverage on our experiences of the past 30 years, and commit to work together to address the remaining challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment that still face our country. The occasion itself takes the form of a formal ceremony to mark the beginning of the President's term of office. What are the roles or the role of law enforcement agencies? The JCPS Ministers Cluster, supported by NetJoints, and the law enforcement agencies are fully deployed to continue to ensure safety and security of all South Africans and our guests on the day and throughout the post-election phase of the country. As demonstrated in action, our law enforcement agencies have the capacity and capability to keep South Africa safe and stable, and no amount of veiled threats of instability should intimidate any South African. As we make a call to action, government would like to encourage all South Africans to be part of this momentous occasion in our country. Those who cannot attend are encouraged to follow proceedings on their television screens and their radio sets. Government therefore calls on all South Africans to take a few hours out of their time on Wednesday, the 19th June, to devote attention to this special occasion, and especially to encourage children and young people to observe this event as part of building social cohesion and developing appreciation for what makes us special as a nation. Finally, we wish to highlight that the inauguration takes place in our annual National Youth Month, which is dedicated to young South Africans and our efforts to build a better future with them, and also to remember the sacrifices made by the youth of this country, from the youth of 1944 and the youth of 1976 and the other generations of young people. Tomorrow is Youth Day, and the national celebrations are held in Limpopo, and it is a day that for the Tinswalos and their parents to commit themselves to play an active part in the next part of our country's journey, in which will be led by the 7th administration. And we wish you a happy Youth Day in advance, and we wish you a prosperous South Africa as we start our journey to the next 30 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister, for the comprehensive information that has been provided. We will invite questions, firstly from the room, and then we'll then check if we have any questions online. The normal housekeeping rules: when we ask questions, you will raise your hand, you'll then press the button to indicate a red. You identify yourself and the media house that you come from, and then you may ask your question. Let me start with you.
Hi, good afternoon. Kylie Kumani here from SABC. I just want to get a sense in terms of the eminent foreign guests who will be coming to the country. Do we know how many heads of state will be coming through? And just in terms of the invitation.
Thank you very much. The second one.
But I just wanted to check, has there been any, threat or any, sort of sense that there might be threats to what might be happening on the ground, and to get a sense of that?
Thank you very much. It appears we don't have any more questions in the house. May I check maybe if we have any question online? Thank you very much, Minister. Those are the two questions that have been asked. Thank you.
Where's the thing? You have to go there for the mic.
Well, good afternoon. Invitations have been sent out to a number of heads of state and leaders of government, and we've been receiving responses. Part of the challenge is that we indicated that we are inviting, it would be in a particular period. We now will convey the date as has been set out by Minister Ntshavheni. A large number of the invitations have gone to heads of state of the SADC region, Central and East Africa, as well as all the chairpersons of the regional economic bodies, and of course the chairperson of the African Union Commission, the president of the Pan-African Parliament. So those would be the invited guests, and then the various representatives of countries represented in South Africa, so members of the diplomatic corps, heads of international organizations located in South Africa. So it's a fairly broad list. And we are following up now that we have the 19th, and we hope that it will be a wonderful event which will be attended by as many of the friends of South Africa as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. No, it's not the job of the police to announce threats. The job of the police is to mitigate and make sure that threats don't happen. But if you look at the history coming for the 19th, there were issues that many of South Africans thought things would not happen accordingly. There were some few threats of the election not taking place. There were some few threats where the announcement would not be made. There were some few threats when the parliament would not sit yesterday, and all those things happened accordingly and planned. This one also will happen accordingly as planned, and all other things that might be there to threaten, if there are net joints. We're working on those things, very much satisfied, everything in order. Come the 19th, the president will be inaugurated, and come and enjoy, drink and dance.
The drink will be water.
Drink water.
No alcohol.
Minister, thank you very much. We don't have any further questions. We might give over to you for the closing.
Ladies and gentlemen, South Africans, we really appreciate your support during this period as our country has demonstrated its resilience as a nation, as our country has demonstrated the functionality of our democracy. This is the pinnacle, I think, of our country and the smoothness of everything that has happened. But we need to extend our appreciation to our law enforcement agencies who have responded with sacrifice, who have deployed in different parts of the country, and when they were being moved from one location to the other, they've responded, who were on the ball and who continue to be on the ball. And we never said there won't be incidences. We said it's the speed and pace at which and the effectiveness of which we deal with those incidences that has demonstrated that we are indeed a functional democracy. We are indeed a thriving nation. And with that, we wish to start. Do we start, Minister Pando, as the most senior? We start the 7th administration actually on the 19th.
Indeed, it's midnight on that day.
Yeah.
We are out.
Yes.
And we wait for the new law.
Yes, actually, and I must announce this. There have been questions in the media to say, are you still ministers? We are still ministers. Government remains in government, including Minister Akele. They said that's particularly directed to Stephen Grotes. Including Minister Akele, we are ministers until the new president, the president-elect, takes that oath of office and he becomes president, and then we cease to be ministers because we are the ministers of the 6th administration, and he takes over and he sits with all the executive powers because we have delegated executive powers until he appoints a new cabinet. And don't ask us who's in the cabinet, we do not know. It's the president's prerogative. Have a lovely weekend further.
Thank you very much, ministers of the administration. Thank you very much. Colleagues, details of credentials as indicated of accreditation will be issued today. Make sure that you attend to them as soon as possible. This press briefing is adjourned. Thank you.